insurance? What is title insurance? Is that like fire insurance? An integral part of purchasing a home is obtaining title insurance. What is it? What does it do? What does it not do? Those are questions that I would like to answer today. This is Juliana too, and I have to advise you upfront that the matter of title insurance is quite complicated, and I would be only giving you a very general overview here, but is a very important part of the real property purchase and sale endeavor. So to be educated, you need some background information to start with. Anything more complicated will require you to get in touch with a title company representative. As always, let's go ahead and start with the disclaimer. The information contained in this video is only intended to provide a guide in the various California-only transactions to which the information is applicable. No representation is made as to the legal validity of the information or the adequacy of it in any specific transaction. The information contained should only be used after consultation with your legal and financial counsel. You have gone through escrow. The escrow agent has cleared the seller's liens and debts from the property, and you get a deed which shows your name on the ownership. You have probably purchased insurance to protect the home in case of fire. You have insurance in case of robbery or theft. What then is title insurance? What protection does it offer you? Fire insurance, liability, and theft insurance all deal with problems that could happen in the future. Title insurance, on the other hand, insures against problems from the past, but will affect the future of your ownership. For instance, what happens if a loan from the owner's past was missed and didn't get paid? What happens if you find out that the owner has a lien against him personally, and this attached to the property because he used to own it? These liens affect the ownership, and that's why title insurance is purchased, to protect a buyer and the lender from issues in ownership that were missed. Let's talk about the process, and you will understand why we sometimes ask for certain information when we are in an escrow transaction. When an escrow is open, the escrow agent will work hand in hand with the title agent. We will be partners through the transaction and rely on each other to provide information on the transaction and our clients. A search will be conducted by the title company. The title company is going to search the county property index and geographic folder. These contain all the documents and records that are filed on the property and recorded in the county records. The maps of records points out the location of the property, and it gives information on the area surrounding the property, showing the boundaries, the square footage, easements, and so forth. They will also be looking at the tax rolls, which show the property taxes. And they will look at the general index, or the GI, which will list the liens that are filed against individual names and social security numbers, including, of course, death, bankruptcy, judgments, and so forth. The more common the name, the more detailed the search is going to be. So with all this information, the title will put up a chain of title to determine who owns the property, how do they own it, who owned it before them, is everybody's interest cleared out, what types of loans were paid off and what loans still remain on the ownership, what personal debts of the owners have attached to the property. At this time, the escrow officer will ask the owners to provide a confidential statement of information so that they can research it. Because if he has a name that is very common, in the general index, we're going to need his social security number and his address to be able to weed out others who have the same name so that their liens do not attach to this seller. If you have any question concerning the statement of information, please look at my video description below, and there's a link to what a confidential statement of information is. Also, the search are going to show what other conditions and restrictions to the land are found in the maps of record and geographic folder. What kind of easements, what kind of restrictions to the use or building. And depending on the type of property, the title officer may also ask their inspector to drive by and look at the physical property. Are there any encroachments? Anything that does not show on the county records? The search will end up with a preliminary report or preliminary title report or title commitment. This report will be the escrow agent's guideline on what issues need to be cleared before the closing of the transaction. The report is going to show the following items. Who owns the property and what is their vesting? Husband and wife as joint tenants, single man and single woman, a corporation, an out-of-state LLC, or a combination of all these? Are there any other previous owners who transferred the ownership without getting title insurance? We will need these people to sign an affidavit that states that they gave up their interest of their own free will, and we're going to need their statement of information. We're also going to show on the report the official address of the property as per the official records and what type of property this is. Are we dealing with a single family home? Is it apartment units, commercial, vacant land? We will also show what are the property taxes that exist now or were previously paid. What type of ownership conditions there are. For instance, are there easements? Are there rights of way? Are there encroachments? Are there government restrictions that continue on with the land? And we're going to show what kind of owners' loans are purposely secured on the property and what personal debts and liens they have that attach to the property due to their ownership. For instance, judgments, creditor liens, child support liens, and so forth. Finally, any other issues from previous owners that affect the ownership today, like an ex-spouse or an ex-partner's name that still appear. As the escrow agent goes through the transaction, she will clear all the items on the report. Is the ownership correct? Can we get a statement of amounts to the debts and liens that are going to be paid? Which conditions are on the land are concerns that need to be addressed? The report will also be given to the new lender, who will also review it and advise which items they will not allow to show on their separate lender's policy. And they may ask these to be removed, or they may ask title to issue separate coverage to ensure that this item will not be a problem in the lender's loan in the future. We call these separate coverage items endorsements. When the transaction is ready for closing, the escrow officer and the title officer will then review the documents that will be recorded for the new buyer and the new lender. They will also review all the items on the report, and escrow will advise the title which ones are going to stay and which ones are going to be paid off or to be removed. So once they're going to be paid off or removed, they will have to give them the documents that will do that. And of course, they're going to need to let the title agent know which lender's requirements are going to be needed. So for title companies, it is a matter of risk elimination versus risk assumption. They want to eliminate all possible risks before they close. They want to eliminate any future risks. And they have to consider what liabilities they might be willing to assume in the future, if there are any. To minimize the risks that they are willing to take, they are going to receive the loan funds from the new loan. They're going to ask that the lender sends the new loan funds to them so that they can pay off the loans and the other debts to clear the title. They will also record the necessary documents with the county recorder's office. The ultimate goal of the title process is the issuance of a final title insurance policy, which will show what the insurance will cover in Schedule A and what they will not cover and show as exceptions in Schedule B. Unlike a fire insurance or liability insurance that insures future events, title insurance protects the owner and the lender against any losses from previous events and defects to the ownership up until the day of closing, which is considered the effective date of the policy. So here's an example. The buyer found out a year after the purchase that the seller had an old loan that was never paid off. And now this old lender is looking to get paid. The buyer will submit this claim under the title policy. The title insurance company is then obligated to look into this matter. Why was the loan not paid? Did they miss this in the chain of title? And if they did miss it, then they will negotiate with this lender to do the payoff. Of course, sometimes the story is not that simple, and there may be other issues involved. So if a lawsuit arises from this problem, the title company will see that they are going to be obligated to defend the buyer against this lawsuit. So what are some of those obvious things that can happen, taking the new owners by surprise? Like I mentioned, unpaid loans and liens belonging to the previous owners. Previous owners who never signed away their interests. Documents that were not recorded correctly on buyer or the lender's behalf. Or a forged or fraudulent document that was found in the chain of title. An encroachment of the neighbor's structure onto this land. Or an undisclosed easement. An easement is a right given to somebody else for a limited use on part of your property. So an easement that is undisclosed will prevent the buyer from constructing something on that part of the property in the future. So they will insure against that. The final title policy is a contract of exclusions. The list of items in the policy contains 1, who they believe the owners are and their loans are, and 2, what they will not insure. The policy, once is issued at closing, the extent of the policy's coverages are set. The title company agrees to indemnify or protect financially against any losses as long as the issues are not listed as an exclusion on the policy. This is the biggest difference between a fire insurance policy, for instance, and a policy of title insurance. The changes to the ownership after the policy is issued at closing, like when you add another person to the ownership, or there's changes made to the buyer's new loan, or there's changes to the restrictions or easements or property afterwards, these will not be covered. And if you're completing a refinance, the old lender's policy will expire when you pay off that loan. So the new lender is going to require their own updated lender's policy to ensure their financial interest in the property. For the lender's policy is their guarantee that it has a valid and enforceable lien against the property. It is also a requirement when the lender goes to sell the loan to other investors like Fannie Mae. Now, the title policy is a pay one time only at closing. It's not paid on a yearly basis like fire or car insurance. It's a one-time payment at the closing. In summary, for a one-time payment at closing, for as long as the homeowner or their heirs own the property, or the lender has security on the property, the title insurance will provide some peace of mind that legal claims or ownership issues will be defended or paid out if necessary. There's much more to the policy of title insurance as to its protections and exclusions that I have not covered up to now in this video. This video is just a general idea to clear up misconceptions about the function of the title policy, the coverages that they have, and more importantly, what they do not cover. Today's t-shirt, Pentatonics. This is an a cappella group of young singers who have won 3 Grammys and have multiple platinum albums. I found them by chance and had a chance to attend one of their early concerts. Check them out on YouTube. You'll love their harmonious vocals. This is Juliana too, and I hope you received a useful information today on a little known subject. Do like me or subscribe to get new videos on different parts of the escrow transaction as it comes out. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in my next video.